this segment I'm going to talk about the triple layer of our human brain, that is reptilian brain and paleo mammalian brain and neocortex. Triple layers of our brain. In the past, scientist Paul Broca announced to the world his important anatomical finding that the brains of all mammals contained a set of structures that he christened le grand lobe limbic. These limbic structures were absent from the brains of reptiles. In fact, 200 years before Broca, the same structures had been noted and christened the cerebri limbus by the pioneer neuroanatomist Thomas Willis, but his discovery was all but forgotten for 2 centuries. Broca also noted that the neural arrangement of the limbic cortex differed from and seemed more primitive than the cortex of the surrounding cerebral hemispheres. However, it was to take another 70 years before behavioral scientists, especially Paul MacLean, a physician and pioneer neuroscientist at the National Institute of Mental Health, started to suspect that positive emotion and approach behaviors depended not just upon the hypothalamic instincts that we equate with the Freudian id, but also upon the limbic system. The tender, nuanced human emotions like compassion, joy, and maternal attachment were mediated by mammalian structures in the inner recesses of the brain beneath the neocortex, but outside of the still more primitive brain stem and its hypothalamus. Just for a moment, imagine the human brain divided into 3 concentric parts. At the center are the midbrain and the hypothalamus. These structures, which have evolved relatively little in the last 200 million years, serve both scientists and crocodiles equally well. This most primitive, instinctive or reptilian brain coordinates most autonomic functions such as heart rate, breathing, muscles reflexes, and wakefulness. When stimulated, these structures, particularly the hypothalamus, result in primitive responses, sometimes called instincts, that are selfish and that, unlike the social emotions, are relevant only to the self. These primitive emotions are sometimes summarized as the 4 F's: fight, flight, feeding, and fornication. In humans, the hypothalamus is about the size of the tip of your little finger. Neither you nor crocodiles could survive without it. When I was a student in 1970s, this is where I was taught emotions came from. The reptilian midbrain is embraced by Broca's le grand lobe limbic. MacLean calls it paleo-mammalian limbic system, which for 200 million years has evolved steadily in our mammalian ancestors alone. The limbic system is where both positive and emotions, especially positive emotions, and the more nuanced negative emotions arise. And it consists of several different anatomic structures. The limbic system synthesizes information from the body, links emotions to past memories, and passes this now balanced information on to the neocortex to be processed as thought and motivation. More than just mediating our emotions. Our limbic brain provides our human connection. In his brilliant fable, The Little Prince, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, the French poet, writer, and aviator, explained the difference between the neocortical and limbic systems when his fox observed, "It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye." In more scientific language, a cascade of sensory input passes through our brains every second. The limbic system, poetically referred to by most of us as the heart, selects and provides effective coloration for the experiences that we treat as important. The limbic system helps humans to appreciate the difference between people and inanimate objects. Think about differently you feel touching an attractive person and touching a cinder block or touching a stone. Destroy the limbic system and we destroy our ability to desire selectively. Covering the limbic system like a helmet in the neocortex, which in our human ancestors evolved most spectacularly, more than doubling its weight over the last 2 million years. Put simply, the neocortex generates our science, our culture, our ideas, our beliefs, and our religions. Equally important, our neocortex creatively elaborates our limbic positive emotions into awareness. The neocortex is the most recently evolved part of our brain, and its size relative to our bodies distinguishes us from the other mammals. Anthropocentric vanity has led us to place our more noble emotions within its huge, conscious, reasoning embrace. But our vanity has misled us. Many dogs, admittedly having been selectively bred by humans for these qualities, radiate trust, hope, forgiveness, and love. And some very brilliant scientists and theologians do not. When a beloved woman is weeping, both golden retrievers, the dogs, and 2-year-old children will rush thoughtlessly, speechlessly, but empathetically to her side to provide comfort. In contrast, a highly educated physician may piously suggest over the phone, "Take 2 aspirin, mom, and call back in the morning." The blind faith of the kittens or the human infant separation, a baby cry, evokes unselfish love in almost all of us. Unconditional love may be no more than mammalian parental love, transformed by maturity and cultural evolution to encompass more creatures than our own babies. Advocates of the selfish gene often bridle at what they regard as a Panglossian notion that unselfish social behavior could be inherited. Recent work with baboons, however, shows that females with the widest social networks have the most surviving offspring. In other words, altruistic communal behavior is favored by natural selection. Thank you.